Ooh, it's Halloween. It's spooky. Ooh. Hello, and welcome to the Jenova music theory presentation, an autism-fueled hyperfixation by Avery Hofford. That's me. Welcome. I made a PowerPoint presentation for my friends about a topic of my choice, and I chose music theory on the Jenova theme from Final Fantasy VII. So if that interests you, strap in, have fun, and let's get started on this presentation, shall we? It's all gonna be done in one take as well, because that's just in typical fashion, right? So, some backstory, right? My name is Avery. I don't play instruments. I did not go to school for music. I don't know how to format bullet points correctly. And I love video game music especially. I love the way that music can tell its own story within a story that the game is showing different ideas and themes and motifs. Characters can have a part of their identity tied to the music. A location can have their own identity tied to the music. It's amazing. It's awesome. And if you clicked on this, you probably know that, right? So, before we get into the actual music aspect of the music theory presentation, we have to first ask ourselves, what is Jenova? Like, what the hell is that thing? Well, Jenova is a recurring boss in Final Fantasy VII, fought in various stages through the game. You'll see on the left is Jenova in her testing pod, and the right is Jenova actually engaged in a battle. You can sort of see it right there. Little spooky. Where's my tab here? Here we go. Jenova is an alien life form that crashed into the planet that Final Fantasy VII takes place on approximately 2,000 years ago, before the events of the main story. It is referred to by the Cetra as the cataclysm from the stars or the calamity from the skies. The Cetra, also known as the Ancients, are people from an ancient civilization frequently mentioned in the Final Fantasy VII series. The Cetra look identical to regular humans, but are deeply spiritual in nature, and are said to be able to communicate with the planet. Neat. Most notably, one of the main characters, Aerith, is the last living Cetra during the events of Final Fantasy VII. Jenova is a major antagonist in Final Fantasy VII and a catalyst for most of the events unfolding in the story. This includes the death of the Cetra themselves, the birth and downfall of the game's primary antagonist, Sephiroth. An important aspect of Cloud's backstory, our protagonist. And if you don't know, that's who these two goobers are. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Hilarious. This guy over here is Cloud, this guy over here is Sephiroth. But I mean, you probably knew that already. Jenova is shown to have shape-shifting and mind-altering abilities. Sephiroth's dialogue puts it best. They say she's a monster, that she can peer into you, into the very depths of your soul, that she can become those you hate, those you fear, those you love. And they call her Jenova. Ooh. Those that are infected with her cells are prone to these mind-altering capabilities, but some evolve into genetically modified super soldiers. So, we have our theming. Spooky sci-fi alien, calamity from above, a theme of deceptions appearing as those that you are close to, and overtaking hosts. So definitely inspired by John Carpenter's The Thing. I mean, obviously. The next one. So how does that translate to music? What musical theme represents Jenova? Well, before we answer that, we have to first ask ourselves, what is a leitmotif? A leitmotif is a recurrent theme throughout a musical composition associated with a particular person, idea, or situation. In particular, such a motif should be clearly identified so as to retain its identity if modified on subsequent appearances, whether such modification be in terms of rhythm, harmony, orchestration, or accompaniment. It may also be combined with other leitmotifs to suggest a new dramatic condition or development. So that's a lot of words. Basically, it is associated with something or someone. It is something recognizable. And if it changes, how does it change? Why does it change? Essentially, if you hear a leitmotif, it makes you go, I know what that is! Shoutouts to Mike from Red Letter Media. You might not literally know what a leitmotif is, but your brain does. Another Red Letter Media quote. So let's look at some examples, shall we? What do you think of when you hear this? If you didn't catch it before, you definitely caught it now. It's Jaws. It's the main theme of Jaws. It is one of the most impactful, important leitmotifs in film. It is 2 notes, but it carries so much weight to it. You hear those 2 notes, you're thinking shark, something in the water, something chasing you. It's simple, it's effective, it's brilliant. Now, let's delve into something a little more complicated, per se. What do you think of when you hear this? And just give me a moment to get it into the right spot here. What about this? That, of course, is Isengard from The Lord of the Rings, one of my favorite films and certainly one of the most impactful film trilogies of all time. That theme is, you think of Isengard, you think of Saruman, you think of the Uruk-hai, industrialization, and there's a lot that can be tied to that specific theme that makes you think of that. So, with all that being said, what's Jenova's leitmotif? Well, to figure that out, we're going to have to actually listen to Jenova's theme from Final Fantasy VII, and let's see if we can pinpoint something that we could call her leitmotif. Here we go. Well, that was easy. So, the descending melody is reminiscent of Jenova herself crashing into the planet. Your instrumentation is using spooky sci-fi synths, and it's a constant repeating pattern, almost hypnotic in a way, the same way that Jenova will overtake your mind. Very important, very impactful. That is Jenova's theme. So let's take a look at some examples where this leitmotif was used in other songs in the remake trilogy, shall we? So, first example is Hojo Observes from Final Fantasy VII Remake. Let's take a listen. So it's slower, it's spookier, it's more ambient. Hojo himself was the scientist who helped create the soldier program, using Jenova's DNA to create the super soldiers. There is an intrinsic link between Jenova and Hojo. When this cutscene takes place, Jenova is being held in a containment pod close by. Spooky. Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, you can hear that leitmotif. Slower ambient, but it's definitely there. Example 2 is Phase 2 of Roche's battle theme in Nibelheim from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Let's just listen to the beginning of this. Okay. So, recently injected with Jenova cells, he has had his abilities enhanced. So the phase is, it's fast-paced, it's high-octane action. Okay. However, it starts fast-paced, but it crashes out in Phase 2. So let's go a little bit further here and listen to that Phase 2 theme. Okay, so the tempo is the same, but the guitars are gone. And you'll notice that the music itself, it's not that energetic. There's that hint of unease, that anxiety that it sort of fills you with. It's not what it was like in the first phase. You'll notice this part coming up here. Second phase gets slower and uneasy, and that Jenova leitmotif comes back to make that unsettling appearance, and it keeps happening. Very chilling, right? Recently injected with her cells, and now Jenova herself is creeping into the theme, starting to overtake his mind. Isn't that cool? So, we've talked about the leitmotif, the importance of that. Let's actually listen to the entire song now. We're going to do a full listen through, and then I'm going to talk about it in specific portions afterwards. Let's get to it. So this first part here, we're gonna call it essentially like part 1. And then it flips around. So it starts out, goes up, and then the part goes down. So yeah, very, very spooky, definitely boss battle theme inspired, but part 3 is a completely different vibe. You hear what's like that MIDI trumpet come through. Da, 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 da. And I think that part is very important. There's part 1, there's part 2. That is Jenova's part of the song. But part 3 with that trumpet it's a lighter tone. It's heroic. It's really the only part of the song that has that uplifting feeling of it before it loops back around to the beginning of the theme. And I think that is very, very important. And it's going to be a big deal looking at the songs later on. But let's sort of delve more into it here. So this is the part of the chord progressions here, and credit to Music Disassembled on YouTube for this. I completely copy pasted this, but the reason the song flows so well is it does have that motive, that increase of the 3 notes, do 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 do, and then that second part sort of extends it. Then it's transposed, it's increased, do do do. It has a it goes up in notes. See, I'm not very musically. I'm trying to explain, the way the music like feels, right? I don't know a lot of terms, but I'm trying my best. Then you go into part B. It's inverted. Now those 3 notes are going down. There's the diminution, which would mean the shortening of it. Do 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 do. Rhythmic adjustment, but those 3 notes are still being played. And you may notice, like, all these notes are different. Through the entire way of the song, the main melody, it never lingers on the same note more than once. It is constantly changing. It is a shape-shifting song, the same way that Jenova is a shape-shifting being. And I think that is so freaking cool. So just sort of the idea and the structure of the song and how it works, presented by somebody who knows a lot more than I do. But yeah, section C as well, being the heroic part, is going to be coming up later and is very important, so keep that in mind. So how did they cook in Remake, in Final Fantasy VII Remake? Well, this, and let me just get myself out of the way, is Jenova Dreamweaver. Really, really spooky, right? So, Jenova Dreamweaver did not appear in the original version at this point in the game. Completely new addition, shows up as one of the last bosses and was a surprise for everyone familiar with the original. This is completely different. This is brand new, and that's really cool. How is this represented in the music? Well, let's transfer over and see how it is demonstrated in the music. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry about that. That song is actually Those Chosen by the Planet. That is Sephiroth's main theme in Final Fantasy VII. This is Jenova's theme from Remake. Hey, wait a minute. Those Chosen by the Planet. Jenova's theme. Interesting. Part that was mostly played with the percussion is now replaced by the strings. And a much slower tempo. There's that melody. choir as well, a more spookier sounding track, a little more intense. Sort of fades out, but this is phase 1 of the Jenova track from Remake, so it eases you into it. It's slower, it's spookier, there are little hints of Jenova's main theme in there. The beat that was replaced with the strings, and then doo, doo, doo. But it doesn't really go much further than that. But then it goes into phase 2. It's like dipping your toe into the theme of what you remember. What about phase 2? Okay, picking up the tempo. Lot more of the melody that we remember from the original showing up. Notes hit a little higher there. It's a little bit different, but it is what we remember. And then part 3, the heroic part. Beautiful violin there as well. This brings us to the end of phase 2. What I find fascinating about phase 2 is that it starts with part 3 and it ends with part 3. It begins da 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 da. If I can play that again here. Da, 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 da. Before it goes into the part 1 and the part 2, where it is Jenova of what you remember. It's, you know, more orchestral. It's still slower paced, but that is Jenova. However, something is missing, right? Like, you know, yeah, the main melody is there, but, you know, where's that punchiness, that tempo, that synthetic beat, you know? Where is Jenova? Well, at 3 minutes and 51 seconds into the song, we transition into phase 3. And if you played the original game and you got to this part, you were about to lose your fucking mind. That's Jenova, baby! And the percussion picks up again. It's as you remember, the melody comes in full force. Dun, 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 dun. You can even hear that leitmotif in the back. Another part to highlight as well, the remake trilogy specifically uses the electric guitars. Now the electric guitars come out, Jenova has risen to full power. It is now one with itself, it knows what it is, and the music represents that. It is how you remember it too. And then as we get to the point where the song will go back to the start of phase 3, that leitmotif comes in full force. And it just lets you know, like, that is an important aspect of Jenova's theme. And especially when... Hold on a minute. Hold on. Enhance? Did you hear it? Let's go back. I'll point it out. See if you can hear it. It's coming up right here. Last ones in Teddy's ear that Hammonty Sephiroth. That is right. So they have the one-winged angel leitmotif actually hiding at the end of phase 3 in Jenova's theme in remake. Isn't that so cool? The two are linked together. There's such a theme between these two characters, and they make it clear through the music. Isn't that awesome? Also of note, the theme itself is called Jenova Quickening. In pregnancy terms, quickening is the moment in pregnancy when the mother starts to feel the fetus's movement in the uterus. Interesting. This is also the point in the story where Sephiroth actually goes and collects Jenova's body, and his plans begin to start in motion. Interesting. So, that is Jenova Quickening. Amazing, and I have to say, the moment that Phase 3 drops may have been the most impactful part of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I don't think that's an exaggeration. I think that moment is the height of a lot of people's playthroughs. It certainly was of mine. It was amazing. So, what have we learned so far? Well, the main leitmotif of Jenova is very important. When it dropped in Phase 3, that was a pivotal moment. That theme is Jenova in its barest essentials. Electric guitars are used to show her increase in power, on top of percussion alongside the guitars to showcase that, amplify the effect. And most importantly, you gotta have the spooky space synth. Spooky space synth, unironically, very important. It lets you know, yeah, Jenova is not from this world, and the music's letting you know. So, next up on our docket is Jenova Emergent. This boss fight takes place aboard the Shinra 8 cruise ship, and is the place where you first fight Jenova in the original game. There is a sudden appearance of monsters that take some of the passengers to the cargo area, and this is where you face her. This theme amps up the horror elements of Jenova because, I mean, let's be real, spooky alien, you gotta have some horror aspects in it, and you can really see it in Jenova's design here, like, ugh, terrifying, right? How is that translated in the music? Well, let's listen to Jenova Emergence and see. Oh, okay. There she is. Wait. Whoa, that's too fast. Right out of the gate, Leitmotif, guitars, percussion. Jenova is here. She's ready to party. And the haunting vocals? Listen to that part. That part is supposed to be, you know, part C or part 3 of the original theme. That is where the trumpet is supposed to come in to, you know, ignite our heroes. That's the heroic part of the song. And just listen to how pitiful it sounds here. It doesn't even make it to the notes. Just a small, pathetic flute. That's all you get. And then it's back to horror. And if phase 1 wasn't enough for you, phase 2 is where it really starts to get creepy. Slow down the tempo. Creepy whispering. Crescendos. Starting quiet, getting loud. Everything it's doing is putting you on edge. It is uneven. Even the beat itself, listen to it here. Even the beat is a little bit uneven. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Dun, dun. 1, 2, 3. And this part right here. The tempo's slowed down, but this part is here doing double time. It's uneven, it's slow, and it's fast. Leitmotif is back. Use of crescendos, uneven tempo. Leitmotif coming back. Really like the use of the second phase, and I've really grown to appreciate it. So, phase 3. What if we sort of combined the two elements together? Said the crazy person? I don't know. Let's see how it works out. Crescendo. Whispering. 1, 2, 1, 2. Crescendo's uneven beat, the vocals. So good. favorite part coming up right here. I want to go through that part again because that part is just, it's made to unnerve you. The actual chanting in the back is done on the offbeat for most of its notes. The leitmotif spookily residing in the back, just letting you know that it's ever omnipresent. And then the main melody, like there's so many things happening and it's made to just put you on edge. I'll demonstrate the offbeats here. Dun, 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 dun. Get through all of this. That heroic part, we're in the final phase. It comes back to let you know you're still in this fight. I think it's pivotal that it waits till the very last phase to really drive the part C of the original theme home. You're still in this fight. But it always ends on that leitmotif, man. It's so important to the identity of the songs, I'm telling you. Oh, baby. My motif is cut in half, but it's still there. It's still lingering. So spooky. So good. What do we got next? Oh, good. This is Jenova Life Clinger. This is the big one. This is the point in the original game where Aerith goes to the Forgotten Capital to pray to the planet, and where she is impaled and killed by Sephiroth. You have to I can't speak English, but you have to have expected spoilers. I do have to spoil this part a little bit for Rebirth. Aerith is dead for this boss battle. I'm not going to tell you what happens to her after the boss battle. You'll have to figure that out for yourself. But regardless to that fact, the boss battle theme in the original was not Jenova's theme. It was Aerith's theme that plays. The very song that you are hearing in the back right now. A beautiful piece, one of my absolute favorites. So melancholic. Foreshadowing an event as tragic as this. Rebirth does things a little bit differently for its final boss, but the core is still there. Aerith doesn't make it through to the boss itself. And it's sad. And I love this song, man. It's so good. Well, with that being said, we have to move on to Jenova Life Clinger. Get your tears out. We're ready to go in. Oh, shit. Hold on. Oh, that's the Gus Funk. Nope. This, okay. There's a cutscene before it. But this is essentially the start. Oh, Aerith's dead. This is the cutscene that takes place just before the final battle. There she is! There she is! Here we go. And just like the original game, it's Aerith's theme that plays for the first phase of the boss fight. Now, the song is beautiful. I don't have too much analysis on it, but mostly just pay attention to the instrumentation. The sweeping strings, the trumpets in the back, and just how it all comes together. Beautiful. And of course, the angelic choir, essentially coming in to lay Aerith to rest. Sweeping strings, the triangle, the trumpet, the choir. Beautiful piano. Yeah. Keep those instruments in mind. They're gonna come into effect. Beautiful song. I love Aerith's theme so much. And then we come to the end of the theme before it once again loops. And now we get into phase 2 and into Jenova's theme proper. Is what I would say if there wasn't a hidden phase 1.5 theme that shows up in the game. I don't know how to get it to play in game. I don't know if it's hard mode exclusive. I don't know how to actually get it to play in game. It's not on the official soundtrack, and it drives me freaking crazy. But this theme itself, much like Jenova, was the catalyst for me actually wanting to make this presentation in the first place. This is phase 1.5. And it's going to start out, pretty similar to what we've heard already, but something is going to change. You'll know it when you hear it, but we'll let it play out for now. That's not Aerith's theme. creeps in and overtakes her theme. The instruments are still the same, but the melody is completely different. Listen to this part right here. It's the same melody, but that chord, that's uncomfortable. It's not right. And Aerith's theme herself is a little distorted here. And then there's a melody of Jenova coming in. Remember from the beginning of the presentation where I said sometimes it's a combination of leitmotifs that show a change? This is it. This is the change. And it happens in a hidden phase which you never even hear in game. Unbelievable. With that being said, absolutely amazing theme. Jenova herself slowly creeps in, overtakes her theme. The instruments are still the same, even the choir. But the melody shifts, it warbles, it changes from Aerith's to Jenova, and now we get into phase 2, where we truly fight Jenova Lifeclinger. Let's get started. Percussion is still very light. Percussion is still light. The instruments are still the same. But now it is very clearly Jenova's theme. Even the choir. It's morphing away from Aerith's theme and now Jenova's theme. Now the percussion is coming in. And the percussion comes in along with the electric guitars. Jenova is rising in power now. Percussion picks up, electric guitars pick up. Jenova is now overtaking Aerith's theme. It's overwhelming it. It's pulled right back. The percussion, it increases. It's making you think all hope is lost, right? But then it gets yanked back. The piano, the choir, the most prominent features of Aerith's theme. It yanks it right back. It's still Jenova's theme, but Aerith is in there. In the music, she is fighting the influence of Jenova, and you can feel it in the theme. Back to the light percussion. There was a scuffle in the middle of the song. How will things fare in phase 3? Well, the percussion is a lot more prominent now. more elements of Jenova's theme are starting to come through. More percussion. And listen to this part right here. Listen to the choir. If you can. It sounds like one lady is just screaming her heart out. Listen to it right here especially. It's like she's screaming. It's like she's getting choked out by Jenova's theme. That part where it was the choir in the previous phase is now one lady singing opera, just trying her hardest, but is getting overpowered by the guitars and is being overtaken, and it's so cool. The trumpets here even sound strangely heroic, like Jenova did it. Jenova finally overtook that last bit of Aerith. However, that's part 3. Just that little snippet of the part 3 from the original theme. That heroic bit is still in there. We're transitioning away from Aerith versus Jenova to Jenova versus the party. And that is a pivotal moment for phase 3. All right, and now, before we get to the transition to the final phase of Jenova Life Clinger, there is, of course, one question that we have to ask. What's Jenova's leitmotif? Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Of course, but what really makes it Jenova's leitmotif? The answer, of course, is the spooky space synth, baby. You get that synth, you get that leitmotif, you get Jenova. And as we head into the last phase of the final boss, what do you think we're going to hear? There it is. And this buildup is so good, dude. Last phase, baby, here we go! It's all here, the synth, the guitars, the percussion. And no choir to be heard. It's all Jenova now, baby. There's that part 3. With a very prominent French horn, often used as the symbol for heroism, of course. But Jenova's not going down without a fight. Now the theme of the heroism, the trumpets are hitting strong. Even the leitmotif doesn't stand a chance against them. This is your moment. The team's moment to take down Jenova. Despite all the hardships, it ends on a positive note. That's a positive note. Listen to this part right here. Dun, 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 dun. You may have noticed that incline of notes is another leitmotif. That's the main battle theme from Final Fantasy VII. Bum, 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 bum. Except in this case, it was a half step up, and then it ends on a low note. The battle is won, but at what cost? And that is the Jenova Music Theory presentation. Special thanks! This is Patrick Rainville Music Analysis. He is going through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and he is analyzing every single piece of music that is in the game. And he was, much like Jenova, was also a catalyst for me to actually create this presentation. So if you have any interest in music theory, video game music, Final Fantasy music at all, please give his channel a watch. Subscribe to his Patreon. He's an absolutely amazing guy, and I would also be honored if he decided to check out the video himself. So, and special thanks to you as well for joining me on this musical journey. Like I said, I'm not musically trained at all, but I love listening to music, analyzing music in any way that I can. I may not know the specific terms, but I definitely know how music makes me feel, and I love delving into that. So thank you so much for watching. I don't really have anything else to shill. I'm part of a D&D group called Dungeons and Dimwits. You can look at that. The only other thing on my channel is my world record video. So, hey, I have a world record. I don't know what else to do. I'm bad at ending videos, so I'm just going to stop there. Goodbye!